Welcome to Porsche Life. The shop that we're using today is the showcase event for the new Porsche Centre South London that opens its doors on the 22nd of January 2018 in Sidcup. My name's Chris Butler and I'm the centre principal of that new business. Now I'd just like to welcome today a very, very talented young lady who at the age of 19 has had success throughout 2016 and 2017 in racing the Cayman GT4. Esme, I thought it would be a great place to start, just to talk to us through about the car that you drive, obviously the Cayman GT, and how good the car is, and your experiences over the last 2 years.
Yeah, so I've been driving the Cayman GT4 car for the last 2 years, and it's a great car, based on the road car. So yeah, really, really good. Really enjoyed it, and I mean it was brand new in 2016. So we were the first people to kind of start driving the car and get into it. So it was all new to us, all new to Porsche, and yeah, it went really well. We won races and we finished second overall in the championship. Then going into this year, we went really well, had a second, but unfortunately I broke my leg at the start of the season, so that kind of ended my year there. But we managed to get back in the car near the end of the season to win the race actually, so it didn't affect me too much. And after that we did bits and pieces for Porsche, and we actually entered the Brighton Speed Trial with the 911 car, which we won that as well. So yeah, it was quite a good year all round.
So a great deal of success over the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So just talk technical for a moment. So just in terms of the car and the setup and how you deal with the car and the team, just run us through some of the technical elements that you get involved in.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of technical behind the scenes, and people don't really realise that side of it. Like, there's a lot that goes on when you jump out the car, and you're always talking to the team, trying to progress with the car and kind of work out what's best for the car and what's best for you as a driver. So we're definitely going through that all the time, and you've got data engineers trying to get the car set up as best you can so that the car's quick enough for you and it wins races.
So I noticed earlier, when we had some photographs around the car, I noticed you immediately put your left foot on the brake. Could you just tell us about left foot braking and actually the advantages of that for you?
Yeah, I left foot brake. There's some people who might right foot brake and right foot accelerate, but no, it's a lot better to left foot brake really, because it's there, you've got it straight away. There's no hesitation, and it's definitely something that helps you with your late braking, and yeah, it helps.
Just going back to some of the racing. So obviously you mentioned the speed trials. You were invited for that event?
Yeah, I was invited by Porsche, so yeah, that was really kind of them to invite me down there. And yeah, it was a really good event, really fun. A lot of guys there. So yeah, I was one of the only females really. But yeah, it was really good to be able to represent Porsche.
Fantastic. So how did the guys feel on the day when you won the race?
Yeah, they were quite supportive, but I don't think any guy likes to be beaten by a girl.
No, I can sort of agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so just going back in time now. So where did your career start, and why motorsport?
My career started about 10 years ago. So I used to go along and watch my dad, and he always was racing in cars and also karting, and I used to go along when I was younger. And it's kind of progressed from there really, and he's been my main kind of person who I've watched in racing, and that really got me interested. At the time I was doing like ballet and tap dancing and really girly things, but yeah, I decided to ask him one day if he'd put me in a kart. So that's where I started at 8 years old in a kart. And yeah, just progressed from there really. I went into Easy Kart Juniors, and I was vice champion in that, and then from then I then got picked out from Ginetta, and they put me into a scholarship, and I did the scholarship and finished in the top 9. And then progressing from there, I jumped into cars at 14 years old, so quite an early age, and we went into Ginetta's, learnt a lot.
And where was your first race? What was your first competitive race?
So the races are all around the country really, so it varies. So there's Brands Hatch, which is quite close to here, which I've done a lot of races and had a lot of success there. Silverstone, which is well known, obviously it's on Formula One and everything like that. So yeah, raced around Silverstone, which is a fantastic track as well.
Great stuff. And what would you say that your favourite track is?
My favourite track, I have a few. I really do like Silverstone GP. I think that's great. It's a really long track, so you get a lot of different corners, a lot of speed and a lot of slow corners as well. So I really like Silverstone, but also my home track, Brands Hatch, is also a fantastic track, and I really love that one.
So just going back to the GT4 then. So what sort of speeds are you doing in the GT4? You know, at sort of top speed. What's it flat out?
Oh, probably get to about 180, I think. So it is quite fast, with 385 brake horsepower. So it does go down in a straight line quickly.
And how's the car handling in the wet? How do you find it?
Yeah, really good, really good. Depends what tyres you've got on, though. So with the GT4 that I've been racing this year, they use Pirellis. And if I was to jump in a 911 next year, it would be Michelin tyres. So I prefer the Michelin tyres, so that suits me for next year.
Great stuff. So talk to us about some teenage years. So obviously you've gone through school, racing driver, and as I understand you're training to be accountant.
Yeah, I am training to be an accountant now. It's been quite tough, really, especially starting from a young age and going through GCSEs and then A-levels. It's definitely, you've got to have a lot of time management and be able to manage your time really well. School's always been really important for me because racing isn't cheap. It's an expensive hobby to have, and you need to be dedicated in your schoolwork as well as trying to become a professional racing driver as well, because at the end of the day it is a hard sport to get into, and it's very hard to get to that professional stage, so you need to have a backup plan. So that's always been important for me. And now working as an accountant, the exams haven't stopped, unfortunately. I'm still studying away, so yeah.
That's good. I would say that actually racing cars is, full of excitement and at one end of the scale, and obviously accountancy is at the other, right?
Yeah, I balance that out well, I think.
Great stuff. So presumably, racing and being a racing driver, you don't just pitch up on a Saturday, jump in the car and go racing. So just talk me through your training regime and what that looks like on a week for Esme.
Yeah, so you definitely don't just turn up and jump in a car. I think that's probably the worst decision you'll ever make. So it's literally you're always training for your race weekends and the race events. So I'll literally be doing training throughout the whole week, going for runs with my dad and my brother, training at home, doing fitness, and always keeping up with my fitness. And also it's your diet as well as your fitness, so always keeping a healthy diet and eating the right foods. And then you also have test days and track days you can go to, which we'll do that before races as well, just to get my head around the tracks and know where to go and where to brake and things like that. So we're always doing things like that. And also I've got a simulator which I use, and that's always good to help you with learning the tracks. So yeah, until you've done all that, that's when you turn up to a race weekend.
So just thinking about that, you're obviously competing against young men, and obviously there's that competition. Obviously from an outsider's point of view, the motorsport world would seem to be quite a male-dominated environment. Can you just talk me through how that works and maybe some of the challenges or barriers you've had along the way?
Yeah, it's definitely a male-dominated sport, but in a way that's helped me with my success as well. It's great being a female driver, and it's great to see young drivers coming along as well and talking to them and how they can get into it. And I think throughout my whole time of racing, I've always been either the only girl or maybe there's been a second girl racing with me. And it's tough because they don't want you to beat them, and so you need to earn their respect kind of thing. But once everyone's got their helmets on, it doesn't matter if you're male or female.
That's great. So recently, and this sounds like obviously part of the future for you now. So obviously you've been involved in the shootout, which was the GT4.
Yeah.
So can you just take us through that sort of process and how that finished last week? I know obviously that you were slightly disappointed that you didn't win that. However, there's still a career there moving forward into GT4. Can you just take us through that, please?
Yeah, it's definitely a highlight of my racing success, being chosen from Porsche to enter into the scholarship along with 4 other really, really good drivers, all male, of course. But yeah, it was an honour to be chosen, and it was quite a tough day of fitness, media, and also driving the car, but it all went really, really well, and it was tough competition, but I think Porsche were really pleased with the success and how I did on the day. So we've just taken the positives from the whole of it. And yeah, just looking forward to next year and finding the rest of that budget to get racing.
Wonderful. So just talk us through the media elements, because obviously I know today is a question and answer session, but just take us through the media element of what happened on the day.
So on the day we were sat down for breakfast, and one by one we were picked off, and they chucked us in a room in front of a camera and someone with a microphone, which was it wasn't expected. But yeah, they just basically had question and answers for what you do on the race day, what you do in front of a microphone, what you do in front of the camera. And yeah, it's just, you've got to be able to put yourself forward as this brand ambassador for Porsche and put yourself forward as in a way that they want to see you.
Okay, so just talk to us about the cars then, the differences between the 2 cars. So we've gone from GT4 Cayman to 911. So just talk to us about the difference between the 2 cars.
So the GT4 Cayman is based on a road car, whereas the 911 is an actual proper race car. And we've also jumped up in speed. So with the Cayman being 385 brake horsepower, now going into this 911, which has 480, which is actually the Gen 2 car. It was the Gen 1 911 before that, which was 460 brake horsepower. So they have improved this new car for next year. So definitely the racing next year is going to be more exciting than what it was before, because they've definitely made it more of a battling kind of grid with doing reversed grids and all exciting things for next year.
Great stuff. So just talk to us about speeds of cars. So obviously, to contemplate a car with 480 brake horsepower, and they tend to measure cars now between 0 to 100.
Yeah.
What sort of time is that between 0 to 100 now in that car?
I think it's about 3.8 seconds or something like that. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, and the top speed is what, approaching over 180?
Yeah,
wow.
Over 180, yeah.
Okay, so just thinking of your career so far, what would you say the main highlight of your career has been so far?
Definitely the main highlight of my career would be being chosen by Porsche for the scholarship. I think that was a great honour to be seen as an up-and-coming sports driver. So, yeah, it's definitely one of my highlights. And I'd also put up there the Brighton Speed Trials. To be chosen for that and to win that as well is definitely something I'm really proud of, as it's one of the oldest racing in history. So, yeah, really, really good.
Okay, so just thinking of your next step in your career, obviously the next stage would be obviously the GT4. So just talk us through where you see the future going now.
Yeah, so I'm definitely on the step of the Porsche Pyramid. So Cayman GT4 is one of the steps, and looking onto the second step is the 911 GT3 car. So that's where we're heading at the minute. It's going to be exciting times for next year, and definitely looking forward to that. Probably do that for 2 years, but in 5 years' time, who knows where we'll be. Maybe we'll be at the top of the Porsche Pyramid in endurance racing, which is something I'd love to do.
And could you just take us through that Porsche Pyramid and what that looks like now?
Yeah, so you've got the Porsche Cayman GT4, you've got the 911 GT3, You've got the 911 GT3 RSR and the endurance racing. You did have the LMP1 cars, but as you know, they've pulled out of that now, and they're actually looking to do the Formula E in 2019. So I think it's always evolving and always moving on for the future. And yeah, it's going to be exciting times for Porsche looking at doing that. So we'll see.
Okay, would it be fair to say that given your training as an accountant and the qualifications and exams, do you have any time for any other hobbies or interests?
No, I'm quite a busy person. I'm definitely always working, and then with exams and coming home and revising, and also trying to fit in the practicing and the fitness for my racing, and then also doing the test days in the car and learning the car, and then the racing on the weekends. So yeah, it's all go, 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 and very busy all the time.
Okay, and for all those budding young racing drivers that you're such a role model to, what would you say, as a tip and some advice to them looking to get into motorsport?
Yeah, I'd definitely say give it a good go, and I'd say start from karting, because that's where I started. And there's a lot of ways you can get into it. You can, even for older people who want to get into it as well, you can take your car to a general test day and go around the track, which is good fun. And youngsters can get into karting and work their way through karting, and you never know who's going to pick you out and who's going to think you've got some talent and take you further. So it's definitely something to get into.